this is Jocelyn Hilling. Probably at this time on YouTube, you guys have seen a variety of different types of videos. If you're on my membership site, you've seen even more videos of a different type. Today, I actually want to share with you guys a little bit about this new area and existence of consciousness I'm living in. It's a land of light and love, which I would associate very much with enlightenment. It's a journey that people can choose to take and live in the moment, live in the now, and embrace unconditional love with every self around them. Or it's a journey other people choose not to take. And they usually choose not to take this journey due to an ego or an ego of a self. The most wonderful thing about a journey towards enlightenment is you're given a beautiful opportunity to actually surrender to a self and develop a heart-centered ego. And the heart-centered ego, it has a self outside of it, very much like a business entity, where I see the business outside of the heart-shaped box. It's the same way here in this place. When I was 14, I was locked up in a hospital and a treatment center, and I remember sitting up against the wall, and I just remember putting my head up against the wall and just watching people walk by and not notice these children. And I knew that doctors were hurting the kids, and I knew that there was kids taking and hoarding their medications. There was all this stuff happening behind the scenes. My dad always taught me to just pay attention to my surroundings, so I've been highly observant my whole life. Not just of everything around me, but also internally, creating what I would call a very sensory sensitive person, where sometimes I may look as though I have social abnormalities, or times where I might look moody or shifty or change, times where it could look like I'm ADHD. But the truth is, in our environment, especially when there's others around and we are sensory sensitive, we feel them in a very different way. And I've always felt them in my mental space, absent of what I would call an emotional body. And it's interesting, my journey towards enlightenment actually ended up to be my dream come true. Because when I was 14, I said, someday I'm going to be the person with the clipboard running the show, and I'm going to figure out a cure for this, because this makes no sense. Simple miscommunication, not just with myself and my healing, but with my family and my friends. I was telling the truth, but because the truth was so hard to handle for my parents, they did what they thought was best. I made choices outside of the average person and norm. And I was brilliant beyond belief, making things very, very hard for doctors to figure out. And they gave me test upon test, sleep test, personality tests, IQ tests, test and test and test. And my mood did fluctuate because my environment fluctuated. I was raised in a military family, having to constantly restart my life over and over. My personality style is ENTJ. Well, it was ENTJ. Now it's more like INTJ. It's one of the only tests to remain congruent across a long span of time because I've taken it. And the only thing that's changed with that test, for me in particular, was the E and the I. So I paid attention to that. I said, what does the E and the I have to do with anything? It's the I with in between two E's. It's the E's inside the I. And every single time we choose to see letters as metaphors and break down things, we can delve deeper into the self. It's interesting to go back. The extrovert, the E, is an external locus of control. I said, it seems as though I'm a trained extrovert because I don't like being in front of a lot of people. I like my alone time, like an introvert. I recharge alone. But they were saying that extroverts recharge around groups of people. So I paid attention to that. And I realized I am a trained extrovert. I either turn it on or turn it off. Instead of analyzing every single thing about the self and the things that we don't find to be important, instead of trying to figure out what is wrong with you or figure out a cure for your personality style or type, it's time that we delve inside of a self to release stored trauma on a cellular level. This is what consciousness and oneness, whole love is all about. Little did I know finding a cure for mental health was beyond holistic, because I found that a long time ago, curing myself through food and nutrition, diet and exercise. But when I began to write my theory on mental health, something changed. I had a spiritual awakening and accessed what I would call consciousness. And my dream space changed drastically, and I felt as though I was merging levels of consciousness. Being able to bypass the mind because I had mastered and deconstructed the ego of a male and females. I understand that females develop egos out of different reasons for males, but they're both built on insecurity of a self, insecurity of sexuality, and insecurity of dominance. When you start to notice those two gender differences, dominant females tend to get categorized in a specific manner, feeling the judgments of males. And males in a dominant category also get characterized by females around them. And it's interesting because many of us feel guilty about sexual things. This is why so many different modalities inside of a therapeutic structure are highly important and specialized. When you have a sex therapist, a trauma therapist, an existentialist, Gestalt, all of these beautiful, beautiful theories. You have equine therapy, you connect with living things. But there was a time when we actually connected with ourselves. So most people seeking out treatment will be continually working on developing a story or a self right outside of them. And I noticed this in my practice years ago. And I said, just by me having this conversation with you, I feel like we're developing a person that doesn't even exist. How did this even happen? Now we're feeding stories and lies to this external self. It all ties in to these 3 holograms and 3 selves, 3 purposes, generations. You can easily master the self and open your heart to love. Train your brain to access consciousness and merge all of those levels to exist in one miraculous moment of time. Time stands still and moves for you when you worry about nothing. When you know you have everything and nothing else matters. You get everything done. And not in time, in a moment. This is life. This is the cycle of life. It moves, it flows. We don't stop in life to have a conversation about what happened yesterday, unless that's important for today. And many times we're having conversations about the bad things that happened yesterday in order to make today better. You don't manifest abundance through a secret of mythology. You manifest abundance through the secret of the heart chakra and love. By understanding, loving the self in that moment despite yesterday's choices is the only thing you can do in every single moment. Complete and utter forgiveness and surrender to yourself and those around you. I hope you choose to practice unconditional love. Feel free to follow me online, jocelynhealing.com, or go to my Instagram or Facebook page. I have a lot of videos on my Facebook page because I've been moving very fast these days. And on my membership site, I'll definitely have access to a whole bunch of different writings. I appreciate your time and your patience, and I look forward to speaking with you soon. Blessings.